And so I did that 40-day fast in 2002 and had that remarkable experience how prayer actually shifts government. And at the same time, I believe something broke on that 40-day fast. And God was leading me to challenge the altars of Baal. In America, 1 Kings 16, state-sanctioned sexual immorality and the shedding of innocent blood by governmental decree of the babies, of the unborn. And I didn't realize what God was leading me into. And so in 2002, around that time, I was in Canada and I found a book at my friends, the Campbell's house there in Canada, on William Wilberforce, the biography of William Wilberforce. Now, William Wilberforce was the parliamentary leader in England who was most responsible for bringing down the horrendous slave trade of that day. And I came home flying on the plane, and I was reading this story, and I was so gripped as I'm reading a quote by one of the abolitionists. And he said it would be well worth my whole life if I would give myself just to be a part, a little bit, of my life ending the slave trade. When I read that, it gripped me, and the Holy Spirit came upon me, and he spoke to me, and he said, "You will raise up a prayer movement for the ending of abortion." I'm weeping on the plane, and I know it's the Lord, and I don't know how that will ever happen, but I know I have just received a word of the Lord. In fact, I believe that fast opened the door for that revelation to call me to challenge the slave trade of abortion in America. I will tell you this story, how it unfolded. It was at that time that Cindy Jacobs, that my spiritual mom and a prophet to me, came to me. I had been mobilizing thousands in the call to pray and fast for America, praying for the Supreme Court. And she said to me, if you don't lead these kids to stand in front of the Supreme Court for the shifting of the ideology of abortion, God will remove you and put someone else in your place. I was shocked by the word. Little did I know how Cindy Jacobs' word would come to pass in the following year. I look back at that kind of prophetic history and you can understand God was placing me on assignment. When God gives a man an assignment, he is never to delegate it to anyone else. People will ask me, well, why are you involved with this issue with Trump and all this? It's because I'm under a divine assignment. I've got to obey God. And President Trump is probably the most pro-life president we've ever had. Please hear me out on this. God was speaking to me even as early as 2000 about this calling for the ending of abortion. A book was given to me before the call DC where the 400,000 gathered together. It was called Elijah. It was a novel by William Stevens on the Baal worship of the day and the challenge of Elijah against the prophets of Baal and Jezebel's rule and reign. I was burning for the Nazarites at that time, those ones who would be separated to the purposes of God, who could shift the history of America. And this book was given to me, and I went to sit down. And before I sat down, I was walking to the couch, and I prayed this crazy prayer. Lord, if this Nazarite word to me is true, please, I'm going to open up this book to a page. I've never opened the book again. To a page, and it will speak about the Nazarites. I open it up to page 169, and I read this. The prophet rapped on the door. His knock was answered by a tall, intense young man, dark-skinned and wiry. To Elijah's surprise, the man's hair hung below his shoulders, though it was not unruly like his own. Are you a Nazarite? He asked without introducing himself. I am, the young man replied. I have taken a vow that no razor will touch my head as long as one shrine to Asherah remains in Israel, and as long as one stone of the cursed temple of Baal stands on another. Stunning. The two things of 1 Kings 16, the Asherah, state-sanctioned sexual immorality, and the altar of Baal worship, the offering of blood to fuel the demonic powers of that culture. Elijah whooped. He leaped into the air and turned around. Praise be to Yahweh. I did not believe such faith still could be found in Israel. Are you a prophet, sir, I perceive? Where do you hail from? And how is it that Jezebel has not found you out? And Elijah said, I am Elijah. Woo. Elijah's introduction was cut short. This time it was the young man who whooped, though he did not leap into the air. He grasped Elijah firmly and pulled him forcibly into an embrace, kissing both bearded cheeks in the process. He pulled back. You are Elijah, truly? You really are Elijah. The prophet laughed. I really am Elijah. I read this again yesterday, and I was shaken by what I just read because I'd never seen this before. He said, Elisha talked excitedly of the embarrassment of the Baal prophets that they could not break the drought imposed by Yahweh. But listen to this. But he talked more somberly of the many babies who were sacrificed to the Baals by despairing parents advised by desperate priests. When I saw that, I never saw it before, I realized that what God gave me, this in 2000, calling about the Nazarites, he was speaking to me to be a Nazarite, to consecrate my life for the ending of abortion, the same thing that was going on in those days. I hope you understand my passion, my zeal. I cannot equivocate on the issue of murder, of killing human beings. I will not equivocate. I lay before you friend and foe, as Wilberforce said. I will lay this out and you must test it. You must judge it. I have no option. And America has no option. God, end abortion. Send revival to America.